my name is Mr. Francy, and welcome back to Mr. Francy Reads! Today we are going to be talking about a topic that is, well, rather near and dear to my heart, and that is how to ensure you reach your reading goals. Now, not everyone is a goal-driven reader, but I most certainly am. I am someone who loves to map out, well, I don't know if I'd call them goals or if I would call them rough ideas, but either way, I like to map out certain plans and see how they go for me. And today I'm going to talk to you about some of the goals that I have, and if you share in any of those goals, or I may even talk about other goals that I've seen other people talk about, if you share those goals, maybe this video will help give you some tips and tricks of the trade to ensure that you at least achieve some of those goals, because I know that there are some people out there who create goals. They're not always able to achieve their reading, or even if you're a content creator, channel goals, and yeah, thought I would come in here and give you tips and tricks. I don't always achieve all the goals I set out to, but I do often surprise myself. I did last year. I surprised myself big time with the amount of goals I was able to achieve, but how did I do it? Well, you're going to find out soon enough. But first, some housekeeping as per usual. Thank you once again for all of the support that you've all shown me throughout this week and throughout the course of time that I've been doing these audio videos. At the moment, no real updates to tell you as to when they're going to change, but when there's an update, I will of course let you know. Aside from that, things are going relatively well for me, so I hope they're going well for you as well. And let me know in the comments below what your favourite book that you've read so far in 2023 is, and also let me know of any goals that I don't bring up that you might have that you'd like some tips and tricks for. Alright, let's jump right on in. Here are some ways to ensure that you reach your reading goals in 2023. Tip number 1 is a massive one, and it is plan ahead. Now, I know that you've either probably heard that saying before, or you've tried that, or whatever, many other different reactions. But you guys, the fact of the matter is that as a writer, I am definitely a pantser. I fly by the seat of my pants when I write. But when I do my reading goals, I plan ahead. Because if I don't plan ahead, then I know it's not going to happen for me. Oh, let me just quickly make this little claim here. Not everyone is serious or holds themselves to a fault when it comes to goals, and if you don't, that's totally fine. I like to have fun with my goals. I don't stress too much about them, but either way, this is not me coming on here saying you have to achieve every single goal you set, or you must at least achieve a certain amount of goals. If you don't achieve any of your goals, that's absolutely fine, and if that works for you, that's fine too. This is just for those who would like to achieve them and have been struggling in the past. Alright, back to planning ahead. Okay, so for me, one of my goals is to complete a certain amount of series that I have on my SAS list. SAS, excuse me, it is very hard for me to pronounce the letter S, and the letter S comes up a lot, so I am just conscious of it, and I'm really sorry. SAS list, SAS, stands for Serious About Series. So it is a list that Elizabeth from Lizzie Faye Loves Books came up with, an idea, a concept that she came up with, where you put a certain amount of series on a list and you do your best to read as many as you can. I have 3 separate lists for my SAS list, and one of those lists is called the To Be Completed list. So I have a certain amount of books on there, a certain amount of series which come with a certain amount of books, and the only way I'm going to achieve that is to map ahead. To give you a great example, it is currently the 15th of January 2023 at the time of recording, and I've already mapped out my TBRs up until December, I think. I'm going to double check that because I don't want to say it wrong, but I'm pretty sure. There we go. The reason I was confused is because I have two documents entitled Rest of 2022 TBR, and I was reading the old one. I have to delete that old one because it keeps confusing me. Okay, I have mapped out my TBRs, and we're just now at the halfway mark of January, but prior to that halfway mark, I had mapped out every TBR except for November and December. And in November, I've already mapped out half of my TBR. And in December, I've mapped out 2 books that I plan to read. Now, of course, this can all be shuffled around, but one of the biggest reasons why I've mapped out these TBRs already is to ensure that I'm hitting the goals of all the series I want to read on my SAS list. Also, it covers a number of other goals I have, like make sure that I read at least one standalone every month, make sure that I read a certain amount of this type of book or that type of book. But planning ahead has been a quintessential part of me ensuring that I am going to reach my goals. Tip number 2 is to make sure that you have dedicated time for reading. So it is extremely hard for me to read most days these days because my job is incredibly hectic and mentally draining, and because of that, before I start work, I am basically preparing for work, so I don't have any time to read, and by the time I'm done with work for the day, I am so drained that because I read for pleasure, I just can't fathom picking up a book and being so exhausted to read it because it's just not the right mindset for me. So because of that, I make my weekends work for me. Now, I may have plans on weekends, but I at least say to myself, I want to get a certain amount of hours reading in, and that's not necessarily going to equate to you. Maybe just even 1 hour or half an hour every week, if you were to slot that in, will certainly assist. But if you don't make time to read, and you're not a consistent reader, then you will struggle to reach your goals. And that's just the reality. That is not me in any way, shape, or form making a judgment on you. Not at all. This is me going off of not only my own experiences, but a whole host of other experiences I've seen from people who are either also content creators or that are not, that have spoken to me about their experiences. The reality is that if you are not a consistent reader and you have reading goals that you want to stick to, if you don't make the time or plan ahead, going back to point number 1, to create that time, then the reading will not necessarily take place, or as much reading as you'd like to do isn't necessarily going to take place. So it is about creating that time to ensure that you do read in order to achieve whatever it is that you wish to achieve. Now I'm going to talk about the creator side. There are more goals that we can discuss, but a lot of the goals to me, when it comes to actual reading, would come down to creating time to achieve what it is you want to achieve, but also planning ahead. Tip 1 and tip 2, if you can put them both together, should ensure that you are able to get done what you need to. I think the only other thing I'd want to mention as far as any sort of a reading goal is concerned is if you map out some time for yourself to read and you don't reach that time, that is absolutely fine. Have a plan in place for a backup, some sort of way to compensate for that time missed. So let's just say you've decided you can't read at any time other than between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. on a Saturday, and you miss the Saturday for that week. Well, maybe the following Saturday you'll decide to read from 9 a.m. till 11 a.m. because you're making up for that hour that you previously missed. So that's another thing, having a plan B in mind, just in case what you had mapped out originally didn't work out, in order to keep you on track. Oh, and I guess another thing I want to add for readers before I go into content creating side, but another thing I want to create for discuss as a tip for readers when it comes to goals is stressing out about achieving your goals will not help you to achieve your goals any more than if you did not stress out about them. Planning ahead, creating time to read, that's just practical, that's just logical, it's just great preparation. But stressing out about reaching a goal and making way too many sacrifices because you are freaking out about not being able to achieve a reading goal is not going to assist you. And I'll tell you why. I've been there myself. I speak from experience. It creates a horrible reading experience because you're doing everything you can to reach the goal at the cost of enjoying what it is that you're doing. So don't allow the stress to take over you when it comes to trying to achieve your goal. So let's just say you have a goal to read 100 books by the end of the year, and you've read 70 books by the time you get to the beginning of November, and you freak out and you say, okay, I am determined to read these 500-page tome books and get to that 100 goal. I'm just going to put my audiobook on 3 times speed and rush through it. You're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to enjoy yourself. So allow yourself allowing yourself to enjoy trying to achieve your goals, because the moment the joy becomes a stress, that's the moment the goal becomes a chore as opposed to a goal. Oh, and here's a quick bonus tip as well. Allow DNFing, where if you don't know what DNF stands for, not a problem. It stands for did not finish. Where you pick up a book and for whatever reason you don't like it, so you put it down and you don't plan on picking it back up again. Allow DNFing to be a part of a succeeded goal. What I mean by this is, let's just say you plan to read a book, or better yet, a series, and in that series you pick up book 1, you get halfway through that book and you think, I just really don't want to read this book anymore. It is not the book for me. I know that I'm just going to get more and more upset if I decide to read this. And then you start to stress out and think, but there are 6 books in this series. I have this as a goal that I want to achieve. If I DNF this book, my goal is screwed. And then you go through this stress and paranoia whirlwind cycle that goes on in the mind. Okay, let me help. There are 2 options you have. The first and most easy one is to say, you know what, my plan was to read this series. I did attempt that. I didn't like it, so I DNF'd it. I'm going to count this goal as achieved because I did attempt it. I'm not going to force myself to read it, but I achieved the goal because I picked up the first book and I read it. I only didn't finish the series because it wasn't the series for me. So I still attempted the series. It is marked as a pass. But your other option is, whether it's a book or a series, and it goes both ways. So even in that case, with a standalone book, you could say, yeah, look, I picked up the book. It wasn't the book for me. I didn't want to keep stressing out. So I'm going to mark that as a pass because I DNF'd it. I actively DNF'd it. I picked it up. I read from it. I did good up until I didn't enjoy it anymore. So it's a pass. Your other option, if that doesn't work for you, because if that does, wonderful. Allow that to work for you. Don't start allowing your mind to run at 1,000,000 miles an hour, stressing out because you planned a goal and now you're considering whether or not to continue to torture yourself in reading a book or reading a series that you don't like purely to satisfy a goal. Don't do that. Because if anything, and I've seen it happen time and time again, it will change the way you view reading. Don't allow yourself to do that. I am a massive advocate of DNFing. Now, if that doesn't work for you, if you're one of those people who turns around and says to me, yeah, but Mr. Francy, it's not seen as succeeded because I only read the first half of that first book or the first half of that standalone book, so it's not achieved. Okay, that's fine. Substitute. So your goal was to read the 6 books in a certain series. You only got halfway through that first book in that series. Okay, it didn't work. We will scratch that off, but we will replace that goal with another series of however many books, and we're going to have that as our new goal now. Or if it's a standalone, we're going to scratch that book off, create another goal with another standalone, and have that be the goal now. And I think that's a massive part of both sides, whether it's a reading goal or whether it is a content creator goal, is allow yourself the flexibility to veto and substitute a goal and be okay with that. That is a big one, because the last thing that personally I want anyone to do, and it only takes experiencing it once to know how horrible it feels, is for anyone to force themselves to read purely because they said they would, which means that it has gone from reading being a pleasure to you to reading being a job or a chore. That is the last thing that you need. Okay, now let's talk about content creating. Okay, so you've set yourself a goal, and those goals are many and varied. You might have a goal of the amount of videos you want to do per week, per month, per year. You might have a goal with the type of videos you want to do. You might have a goal for the duration, etc., etc., etc. But there may be some roadblocks that come your way. One of those roadblocks may be you don't have a lot of time during the week to film. So what do you do? Because you've said that you are going to upload, just an example, 3 videos a week, but the only day you can film is on a Saturday. What do you do? What do you do? Well, my friends, the answer is this. You create a filming block. This is the best, well-hidden, well-kept secret on BookTube. You do a filming block where you literally set up your whatever it is. If you're filming, you set up your camera. If you're writing a blog, you sit in front of your computer or whatever you're using to write your blog. Whatever it is you're doing, you prepare yourself, and then you do everything that you planned to get done for a certain amount of time in that one day. So for me, if I plan to do 3 videos per week, in that one day, I will film all 3 of those videos so that they are done for the week, because I know I'm not going to have any other opportunity to do them at any other time. So that is one way to deal with that goal. Here's another idea. What if your goal is to discuss a certain topic and go more in depth within that topic each and every week or month? So for example, let's say you want to discuss middle grade books, and you've decided that you're going to every week or every month talk about a different genre of middle grade. One video might be on fantasy middle grades, one might be on horror middle grades, one might be on contemporary middle grades, one might be on, I don't know if there's such a thing as a romance middle grade, but you get what I'm trying to say here. And then you're fine to start with, because there are so many, for example, middle grade fantasy books that you could talk for hours on end. In fact, if anything, you needed to cut out a whole lot from your video because, well, you spoke too much. But then you get to, say, middle grade horror, and you don't have as much to say, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, what the heck do I do? Well, there's a number of options for you. First of all, you might want to say you were just listing recommendations in each video, and you had 20 middle grade fantasies and you were just recommending them off the cuff, but you only have 2 horror middle grades that you can recommend. Maybe you might talk about them a little longer. You might go into more depth about the premise, your thoughts and feelings, why you're recommending these books, why you would not recommend these books to certain people for whatever situation. That's an idea. Or maybe you could double up on something. You could say, okay, this week we're going to discuss middle grade horror and middle grade contemporary, because I don't have many of both, and so I thought I'd put them both into the one video. Here's another thing. You've said you're going to create 3 videos a week, and suddenly you hit the wall that every single booktuber hits. Anyone who tells you they haven't hit this wall, my friends, you know we're transparent on this channel. Anyone who says they haven't hit this wall and they've been on BookTube for a significant amount of time is lying to you, because we all hit this wall of, okay, I said I promised I would release 3 books a week, but I seriously am out of ideas. I don't know what to do now, and all I'm doing is releasing reading vlogs and monthly wraps and TBRs, and I've done pretty much every tag that's already out there. What the heck else can I do? Well, my friends, this exists. So if you're going through it and you're getting to that point where you're finally, and I say finally to be realistic, you're finally saying to yourself, Man, this is hard. I didn't think booktube would be this hard. Why is it so hard? And you can start spiraling. Okay, first of all, this is said quite a lot on booktube, and I did not believe it for the longest time till it happened to me and I saw that it was true. Your subscribers will forgive you if you don't upload as much as you promise. Trust me, they will. Especially if you keep them in the loop. That would be my advice. If you care enough about your subscribers and you know that you're going to be going from 3 videos a week to 2 or even 1, just make a point of it somewhere in the previous video. Look, sorry everyone, just letting you know, there's not going to be as many videos next week. I'm only going to do the 1, and here is why, for whatever your reason is. Just keep them in the loop. And yeah, viewers are very, very forgiving. There are a lot of times that I have put out a video where I've said a certain something and wondered how people are going to react, and the positive comebacks that I've had, the response that I've had to what I've said has literally blown me away. Well, maybe not literally. I'm using that word incorrectly there, but has metaphorically blown me away. So trust in your subscribers to care enough to understand that you're out of ideas, you're stressed, you need some time away, whatever it is. If you need to lessen the amount of videos you are doing, that is absolutely fine, because your loyal subscribers will say something along the lines of, don't worry, we will be here when you return. If you lose subscribers in the meantime, here is, again, transparency. That's what you get on this channel from me. If you lose subscribers in the meantime, how much did you really mean to those subscribers if they are leaving you because you genuinely can't post as many videos for whatever reason and you've already told them that this is the case? There is a booktuber out there that I absolutely love. I will not name names, but this particular booktuber went away for, I think it was a month, it might have been more. They actually made an announcement video about this because, again, when you care about your subscribers, you make these announcements. I've noticed that with those that are loyal to their subscribers and care more about them than just viewing them as a number, they'll actually take the time to make the point to say whatever it is that they need to say, especially if they're not going to be around for a little while or if things are going to change. And with this particular booktuber, they were saying, look, I'm not going to be here for a month and a half, whatever it was. Here's the reason why. So just letting you know, that's what the case is going to be. So I'm hoping to be back by this particular point in time. And so I will see you all then. The amount of people that were commenting saying, you go, you do what you need to do, we'll be here when you return, that were there when they returned. It's amazing the amount of support we have here on BookTube, which is not always the case everywhere on YouTube. But BookTube, the viewership of subscribers who really care, it's amazing how compassionate they are compared to other areas of YouTube. I mean, there are areas of YouTube where that's not the case, and I know that you know what I'm referring to, and so I'm not going to mention what they are, but they exist out there. It's a very different world in different corners, and I love hanging out in BookTube. BookTube Landia. I much prefer to be here than in some other corners of YouTube, that's for sure. So trust in your loyal subscribers to be okay with any changes that you're making, not just cutting down the amount of videos you're doing, but any sort of a change that you might do. Hey, you might say, I would prefer if you didn't personally, but that's okay because you're you and that is absolutely fine. But again, I can't help myself. I'm transparent and I can't help myself by saying, it might affect me a little bit, but I won't leave you, I promise. You might say you're getting rid of your TBRs, your monthly TBRs, because you don't want to do them anymore. Yeah, that is absolutely fine for a lot of people and even for me. Look, I love my TBRs. If you haven't been with me long, hi, I'm Mr. Francy and I'm running a campaign called Save the Monthly TBRs and Save the Monthly Wraps. But anyway, because they seem to be a dying breed. But I remember this particular booktube I was referring to before, who went away for like a month and a half, actually made the announcement that they were not going to be doing monthly TBRs anymore. They also were no longer going to be including star ratings in their monthly wrap. And I wondered how that would affect their channel. It didn't. If anything, the channel continued to organically grow. So even cornerstones of booktube, if you are considering taking them away and wondering how people are going to react, no, people are fine. If they are there and they're subscribed because they love what you do, it really doesn't matter what you do because you make your channel your own, I guess. There we go. That's one way to put it. You make your channel your own because people are there to see you. They love what you do, who you are, I guess is even a better way to say it. They love who you are. So if you want to do a complete overhaul of your channel, that's absolutely fine. They love who you are. That's why they keep coming back. I also just want to make a point as well when it comes to channel goals. Try not to come up with a goal that is unrealistic. For example, and I'm not saying this will be the case with everyone, but the likelihood of being able to rope in 500 subscribers by the end of the year is going to be a goal that is going to stress you out. I've been on booktube for 3 years. Please allow me to pass on my pearls of wisdom to you. Please do not create a goal for yourself that has anything to do with the YouTube algorithm and stats unless you want to be completely stressed when it comes to the content you are creating. Because look, people come onto booktube for many different reasons. Those who come onto booktube for wanting to make it a career and to make money out of it burn out really quickly because YouTube makes it almost extremely impossible to hit the benchmark level that you need to hit just to be able to earn any sort of money at all. So if you are someone who is coming into booktube to make money, please be mindful that only 1% of all booktubers do go on to have that type of success. I'm not saying it's not well earned. It absolutely is, but it doesn't happen for everyone. In fact, it doesn't happen for the major majority of booktubers. So if you're also having a goal of I'm going to have 500 more subscribers by the end of the year, and I'm going to achieve this goal at all costs, and then you get to the second last week of December, and you start freaking out and trying to change everything because you haven't gotten anywhere near where you want to go. Trust me, please don't. It is not worth the stress. Just let the views and the subscriber count sit where it is. Because at the end of the day, one thing that I learned, and again, being completely transparent, I don't know why I keep saying it. I don't need to. I say it that many times in videos, but, you know, it's really no longer applicable at this point for me to say it because you all know. But with the journey of my channel, there have been times where I have created videos that I wanted to create, and then there have been other times where I've created videos or tried to do things in order to gain subscribers, gain views, this, that, the other. And at the end of the day, all it did was stress me out because I felt very controlled by trying to, by the thing that I'm trying to achieve. And so that is something that I don't recommend. If you want to be a booktuber or continue to do booktube, then come into booktube or continue being a booktube creator where you do what you want to do because you're doing it as a hobby and it's something that you love. If something eventuates from that, that is absolutely fantastic and kudos to you. Well done, well deserved. But if it doesn't and you only came here to make money, it is going to drive you absolutely bonkers. I know that myself. But if you come onto booktube and remain on booktube purely because it's something that you like to do, then, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, then you're not necessarily keeping the subscribers in mind. You're doing what you want to do, and those who come and watch or comment on your videos and like and subscribe and whatever, do so because they love what you love that you ended up doing, if that makes sense. So please do keep that in mind for future reference. But anyway, We're about to hit that half-hour mark already. It always happens. I never planned to take this long. The bottom line at the end of the day is please don't create goals for yourself that are going to stress you out. It is not worth the risk to your mental health at all. I must state that because I have been there. I am saying this from experience. Number 2, prepare in advance. Number 3, make sure you have dedicated time to do what it is you're doing, whether it's reading or content creating. And 4, love what you do and don't go into doing what you do for the sake of others. Go into doing what you're doing because you're doing it for your own passion. Okay? And allow your passion to shine through. That's another thing I just want to add there. Allow your passion to shine through because it's always good. It's always good when you see people's passion shine through. All right, everyone, that is where I'm going to leave it. We've run out of time. There's so much more I want to say, but I don't want to go any longer because this is always going too long anyway. But if you want another video like this where I talk about anything else to do with this or anything that's come up today, please let me know in the comments below, or anything else you want to see me discuss in these audio videos, let me know. I'm more than happy to give each and every one of them a go. But in the meantime, I'm going to let you all go. Peace, blessings, and so much love. Please do be kind and love one another and spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world. And until next time, happy reading. Bye, everyone.